Now, depending on who you ask, the year 2026 may seem a long way off, but when it comes to tax planning for your retirement, time is of the essence. At the end of 2025, the many provisions of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, also known as the Trump tax cuts, they will sunset. So tax brackets will revert at that point, and it might not even stop at that. They might actually go up. So with that in mind, you guys obviously knowing this, what are you doing now with your clients to prepare?
I think we're doing everything we possibly can to have the government stay away from their money. I think retirees today face a tremendous amount of risk, and there's a couple of ways that they face that risk. When we think about the government attacking their money, first of all, it's going to come in the form of taxes on Social Security. So what a lot of retirees don't realize is that, when you get into retirement time, you have two tax codes now. Not only do you have the provisional income tax like I do as a worker, you also have the taxation of Social Security benefits. And in fact, when one of the spouses passes away and then they're an individual tax filer, you can get into something called the widower's trap, which again, we have a video that talks about how that tax trap impacts people in retirement time. Secondarily, you have the tax issue of leaving money to a loved one. I met with a couple recently, and they're blessed in the fact that they have enough money in other sources that they don't really need their retirement accounts right now. They have them as kind of a backup, if you will. And so their goal is one day if they don't need the money, there's no emergency, and they're doing what they want to do. If this money is left over, they want to leave it to their children, which makes a ton of sense. But the reality is I had to explain to them that traditional tax-deferred retirement accounts like 401ks and IRAs and 403bs are some of the most inefficient ways to transfer wealth from one generation to the next. That's when a tax time bomb can go off. And in fact, we can see the government is already starting to come back after those dollars, not only with the sunset provision that comes into effect, but also with the Secure Act. So a few years ago, when I left money, say, to my son as a beneficiary, he had the ability where he could stretch out the taxes over his entire lifetime. Under the first Secure Act, they changed it, and they said, no, you got to get it all out within 10 years. And then in the Secure Act 2.0, they came in and said, not only do you have to get out in 10 years, we want a little bit out each year as well, and taking a required minimum distribution. So, again, they're attacking retirees' retirement savings. And you have to ask the question, well, why? Why attack our retirees? I mean, what the greatest generation ever, if you think about what they've done for our country. And the reality is kind of like what they asked the famous bank robber, I think his name's Willie Sutton. Mm-hmm. They asked him, why do you rob banks? Remember what he said?
That's where the money is.
That's where the money is. And, a retirement account or Social Security benefits or, somebody's house are their biggest assets that they own. And that's where the money is at, folks. They're coming after your retirement account. And then also, if we look at it, the government is broke, right? They are broke, but they're still spending more and more of our money, right? We have right now a looming government shutdown. We have the debt ceiling just surpassed $33 trillion for the first time in our U.S. history. Our government has no desire to stop this spending. We have Social Security printing on their statement that they're going to be exhausted and unable to pay, 100% of benefits. They may hit the reduced benefits to 80% in as short as 10 years from now. So, what does this all mean to you? It means that you, as an individual, have the ability to take control of your individual tax situation. Don't rely on the government taking care of you. Get control of it. What we did here is we put together the Tax Savers Checklist. So in the Tax Savers Checklist, what we can do is we can walk through doing the tax analysis. I met this other gentleman here recently, and with this gentleman, we took a look at his situation. Again, financially well off, doesn't need his retirement accounts, but when we did the analysis, what we looked at is he had a pretty substantial gap between where he was at and the next income tax bracket, and he was in a pretty low tax bracket.
Sure.
he has the ability where he could take and he could pay some of the money now and do something like a Roth conversion. He could take the money out and gift it to his children now instead of waiting till later. He could take the money and put it over into life insurance, which is a much more tax favorable vehicle if he wanted to transfer wealth. There's things that he was missing opportunities out where he could have paid little to zero taxes now. And when he talked about his children, they were already well off. They did great. He raised great kids. They had good jobs, good income. So with good jobs, good income, it's most likely the fact that they're not going to pay the low taxes like he is, right, if there is money left over, which is what his desire. So by going through this tax savers checklist, we look at things like IRA, Roth contributions. We look at doing a Roth conversion analysis. We look at doing a tax roadmap for you. We look to optimize each account for tax efficiency, optimize it from a tax withdrawal standpoint, which accounts are better to take withdrawals from. If you need things like health insurance, there's a difference between, say, age 62 to 65 when you go from affordable health care to Medicare. There's a strategy there. Optimizing those tax-free monies to pay other different investments, evaluating, what all your tax-free options are. Talking about your non-charitable contributions, if you're over the age 73 and you're making required minimum distributions and you're philanthropic, you may be better off to give to your charity or church directly from your retirement account versus taking the money, having you pay taxes on it, showing up on your tax return, and then giving what's money left over. So in the tax savers checklist, we've got 25 items that we go through. And this is one of those areas that the clock is ticking. It's literally not only ticking because of the Trump era tax cuts are set to expire. It's ticking because many of these decisions that you make, once December 31st gets here, the clock is over for strategies for 2023. So if you are looking to try to minimize the taxes that you and your family pay now and in the future, give our office a call saying, hey, Nolan, we want that tax savers checklist. We want to go through that checklist and make sure which of those items apply and do not apply so we can make a better educated decision. And it was the honorable learned hand that said there's two systems of taxation, one for the informed and one for the uninformed. Let's get to an informed category this week. And this week, your first step is just pick up the phone, give us a call. We'll go through that tax savers checklist and be happy to help you out.
Because if you go with just the status quo, what the government has already set up, which seems to indicate taxes going up in the future, who's that going to benefit the most, you or their pockets? I think having this tax savers checklist could be invaluable when it comes to your retirement planning. And it all starts with reaching out and giving a call, 419-794-3030. And one more time, I want to remind you, you can find out all the upcoming events and go ahead and reserve your seat for one of them by going to the events tab at arhq.com. And we genuinely do appreciate you joining us, spending part of your day with us here on America's Retirement Headquarters. Hope you have a great week ahead of you. Stay safe out there. Guys, as always, grateful for the time. And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with the final word.
Yeah, I'd say come out to an event, arhq.com. We've got a lot of events coming up. We'd love to have you out to them. And make sure you stay tuned next week, same time, same channel, right here on Toledo's largest talk station. And when you think retirement, think America's Retirement Headquarters. It's home of the Retirement Guys formula and America's Medicare Associates.